What's up YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC on Fox, Dillashaw versus Barao 2. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Zach Cummings versus Dominic Steele. And this is a fight between two guys who are basically wrestlers, strikers, but I feel like Zach Cummings is just better everywhere, and he's already got the experience in the UFC as where Dominic Steele's making his debut. So I just feel like Zach is probably going to win by either TKO or submission. Probably in the second round, in my opinion. Next is Jessamine Duke versus Elizabeth Phillips. And this fight could honestly go either way. I think that both these chicks have similar styles. There's just one of those things where it's going to be super close, but I'm going to pick Jessamine Duke. I think that she just looks like she's got more room for growth than Elizabeth Phillips does. But once again, this is another close fight like the first one where there's two chicks with similar styles in my opinion. But still gonna pick Jessamine Duke, maybe by like split decision. Next is Ramsey Ninja versus Andrew Holbrook. And Holbrook looks like a really great up-and-comer, and I feel like they're kind of giving him one of those fights with one of those guys who has kind of an established name. So that way he can, get a win and start to come up. It's weird because Ramsey Nijum's the only guy right now that has a win over that Daniel Darbush guy, but he's just looked like shit since that fight. So I'll pick Andrew Holbrook. I say he wins by finish. I'm not sure how, either submission or TKO, probably in the first or second round. Next is James Krause versus Daron Cruikshank, and this is like kickboxer versus kickboxer, but Daron Cruikshank has good wrestling as where Krause has good jiu-jitsu. I think Daron Cruikshank's the better striker though. I think that his wrestling he'll be able to keep the fight standing, and with his flashy kicks and stuff and counter punching, he'll probably win either a decision or a knockout. It depends. With him, it's one of those things where if he can let his hands go, he can win by like crazy highlight reel KOs, but if he doesn't, he'll probably just win by decision, kind of like James Krause's last fight. I think he'll just be the more active guy and just probably win by a split decision or KO. So I got Daron Cruikshank. Next is Eddie Wineland versus Bryan Caraway. And I just don't think Bryan Caraway has the type of power or striking to make Eddie Wineland afraid of him on the feet. And I don't think he has as good a wrestling as some of the other guys that Eddie Wineland's fought and has been able to keep down. Even though Eddie Wineland got knocked down his last fight, I think that was more him just getting caught than it was him, not looking his age. I think Eddie Wineland taking the time off that he did is going to be good for him. I think he's going to come back and look really great. I say he stuffs the takedowns and it's just more active and more powerful striker will win by decision. Probably not going to get a knockout because I don't think Bryan Caraway's ever been knocked out, but I say Eddie Wineland wins the decision 30-27. Next is Kenny Robertson versus Ben Saunders. And this is, two guys that are kind of in the same spot. They're both trying to crack into the top 20, and they're both on decent win streaks against decent people. I feel like it's just like an earlier fight. It's kind of a kickboxer jiu-jitsu guy in Ben Saunders versus a kickboxer wrestler in Kenny Robertson. I'm going to pick Saunders. I could definitely see Kenny grinding out a 37 decision, but I'm going to say Ben Saunders, just his more active game and his just overall better striking is going to get him the win. Maybe knockout. Yeah, so I'm going to say Ben Saunders wins by KO, probably with his tie plum. He's really good at that. I'm going to say he wins by first round KO with his knees. Next is Jim Miller versus Danny Castillo, and this is two guys in the same spot, just like Kenny Robinson and Ben Saunders. Two guys that have, they're trying to work their way back into the top 15, and I'd say they're both like in the top 25 right now, but to me, Jim Miller's got, he's definitely still one of the better guys in this weight class. I think he's just fought tough dudes, as where Danny Castillo is just starting to lose to, decent up-and-comers, but he's just lost more viciously. He's getting knocked down submitted, as where Jim Miller's just kind of losing decisions. So I'm going to pick Jim Miller. I say he wins by either knockout or submission. Next is Gil Villante versus Tom Lawler, and I like Tom Lawler, but he was not that big of a middleweight. And I remember on The Ultimate Fighter, he's a pretty small light heavyweight. I mean, Ryan Bader knocked him out because I think it was just more size difference than it was overall ability. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I think he's going to get hit by the bigger, stronger guy in Gil Villante, and he's going to go down. I just think that he's already shown from The Ultimate Fighter Season 8 that he's a small, light heavyweight. And once they start striking and he realizes he won't be able to take Gil down because Gil's wrestling defense is pretty good, not to mention he's going to be way bigger than Tom. Yeah, I just think Gil's striking has been looking better. I think his cardio still needs work, but aside from that, Gil's looking better and better with every fight, so I say Gil Villante wins by first round knockout. On the main card, First fight is Joe Lozon versus Takanori Gomi. And this is the fight I'm looking forward to the most on this whole card. This looks like a fight of the year fight. This looks like, the Sanchez-Lozon fight when that fight was announced. This looks like it could easily, even if this fight isn't as good as I'm hyping it up to be, if it's half as good, it would still probably be the best fight on this card. I think this fight is going to be exactly like the Jamie Varner fight, except for I think Gomi's going to win instead of Lozon. But I think this fight is just going to be almost the exact same fight, except for Gomi's going to win by knockout. If you guys remember the Lozon-Varner fight, that fight was a super badass fight that was back and forth. Yeah, like I said, I feel like this is going to be exactly like that fight, except for Gomi's going to be the winner by TKO. So I just expect this fight to be super back and forth, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking, with Gomi winning by just a little, by like a hair. Next is Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder. And this is two strikers. Basically, I don't expect any takedowns. I'm going to pick Felder just because he's been looking better as of late. But, Barboza is one of those guys that's tough to pick because sometimes it's just a stylistic thing where his striking works better against other strikers. Like, we saw against Evan Dunham, he just laid him out. And there was another striker that I can't remember who, Ross Pearson and Njokwani. Like, he just looks way better than. But then there's guys like Michael Johnson that just never give him space and just kept moving forward on him. So, it depends. Paul Felder kind of fights like Ross Pearson guys, so it might be a bad matchup, but I'm still going to pick Felder by decision. Just saying, this fight's tough. It really depends on how Felder decides to attack Barboza, because Barboza's striking style works really well against some styles and bad against others. So, next is Miesha Tate versus Jessica Eye. And to me, they're just trying to give Miesha Tate a fight here. It's one of those things where they can't give her the title shot because she's lost to Ronda twice, so they need to just keep giving her top 10 people to kind of tide her over until either the belt changes hands or people just want Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey 3. And that's what I feel like this fight is. I think Miesha Tate's going to win by decision or submission. I think she's just way better than Jessica Eye. I don't think Jessica Eye is really that good. I think, her record's like 1-2. I know it's 1-1-1. And she did technically win against, what's-her-face, the Canadian, Sarah Kaufman, but I thought she lost. And then she took steroids or something, and that fight turned into a no contest. So I think that now that she's off the juice, we've started to see that she's really not that great. That's why her record's like 1-1 after that fight. And her win was against the scrub. So I'm going to pick Miesha Tate by decision or submission. I think she's just way more well-rounded and the better fighter overall. Finally, we got Dillashaw versus Barao. And not much has really changed since their first fight. I think both guys have had one fight since then, and Dillashaw looked the exact same, and Barao looked slower, in my opinion, in that fight he had after against Mitch Gagnon. He was getting lit up. He was getting hit with a lot of shots in that fight that I don't think he would normally get hit with. So if you ask me who looks better, I don't think either of them look better since that fight. I just think Barao looks a little worse. So I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying he doesn't look as good as he did before the fight with TJ. So I'm going to pick TJ to win again, probably the same way, probably like a 5th round knockout or a decision. It's just, neither of these guys have fought in like a year. They've both been injured, and they've both only had one fight since then, so I don't think anything's really changed since that first fight. I haven't really seen either of these guys do anything. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.